Who are the people of Texas today? To use the historically accurate term, who are Texians? Chief Justice Cannon, do you have an answer?
On the issue, especially with the research and dealing with, as we speak of today, under international understanding, because whether we grasp the concept or not, since the establishment of the League of Nations and that of the UN and the parameters that deal with it under international tribunals, what we look at is those definitions that are acceptable, rather than being because we could, and what may need to be done in certain areas and arenas is a linguistic expert maybe need to be called in, because two different peoples may look at a subject and pronounce it a different way without a concise or conclusionary position on exactly what the interpretation being. When you look at the issue of peoples, because in that preparation, as going back to the prominent jurists and publishers today, and even those precedent cases as far as the ICJ and other positions, peoples have a very difficult to delineate to such an extent that it identifies one group from another group. Now, I know there are indigenous peoples, and I know that there are minorities, and I know all these other positions that are accessible within the international community today. But to describe people, you're going to have to look at it and understand that, first of all, who determines who the people are? And we look at even the declarations of independence, and those are the founding of the 13 colonies in the Americas and other places. It says, we the people. And that's the whole position in the Republic of Texas, and seeking in this form is to expound on all those that are out there today within Texas. As is spoken of, is in that territorial integrity, or those territorial boundaries. We have multiple different cultures, we have multiple different ethnicities, we have multiple different religious beliefs, we have multiple different this and that. That in the exactness does not identify a people in international. And the reason being is that we the people of Texas, now we can say that we have, or like-minded, but the main focus of it derives from the fact that you in Texas, living here, love your country. And some still don't understand, without the confusion, believe it to be a state, small s. But when you love your country and you have allegiance, you look at it as that which is extended. You have a great interest in that future. Because as was mentioned earlier, we can look at those positions as far as Estonia. And you look at Estonia, Estonia was held, and there was a transference of population from Russia and what we would consider the native people of Estonia. What we look at in Texas is, because it's diverse, and the bottom line interpretation of peoples is all the people of Texas. And it's up to this or those that are there who have stood forward, or in those proclamations, understand we don't deny the people. Because that choice is going to be there, and it's going to be available to either stay because your loyalty is here and you love this country and you expect a much brighter future. So that interest in Texas will define you also with what is necessary, so that we, through the negotiations, can understand that there is a mixed population, whether some will remain U.S. citizens, some will remain Mexican citizens, or some will remain French, and such and so forth. Those relations will be worked out. But identifying Texas today is up to each one of you to come forward to make that stand as the original that brought about a difference for independence, not only of the Americas, but multiple other places around the world, as equivalent to that of 1836 in the Republic of Texas.
Thank you, Chief Justice. Senator Wilson.
Just a historical fact that clarifies a little bit. in researching back to the original documents, whether they were newspapers or books or journals, even diaries, in the 1830s and 40s, when they wrote about their countrymen, they called them Texians with an I between the X and the A. And so just to be true to that history, we're using that same term.
Thank you, Senator. President Jarnacki, do you have something to add?
Yes, as well as everything that has been mentioned as far as identifying ourselves as Texians, I believe that it is also a gut feeling for each individual that can't really be put into words. You go anywhere else in the world and they have heard of Texas. But you go somewhere else in the world and you ask, well, have you ever heard of Rhode Island or Ohio or Arizona? Probably not. Everyone knows of Texas throughout the world. And this gut feeling that each of us have determines us to be Texians, as well as everything else that's been mentioned.
Thank you, President Jarnacki.